Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Excuse me smiling so much, but today is a very special day. I'm reviewing one of my favorite games of all time. It holds near and dear to my heart and I have tons of memories with it. I hope I can do it justice because this game to me is simply amazing. So let's take a look at Out of This World for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Roll that intro. The year is 1991, and Doug proved to us that your imagination is still the most powerful tool. The year when Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted you to come with him if you wanted to live. The year my Aunt Rhonda was in love with Michael Bolton because he was a man who loved a woman. And the year when the Super Nintendo came out and changed my life forever. But I'm not here to talk about all that. I'm here to talk about a game that I absolutely love, and one I've been fascinated by since it came out. So kick back, have some peanut butter M&Ms, and let's get this review started. Another World, known as Out of This World in North America, is a 1991 cinematic platformer action-adventure game designed by Eric Chahi and published by Interplay for the Super Nintendo. It was originally designed for the Amiga and the Atari ST, but then it got released on the Apple II and the MS-DOS back in the late 80s, and it blew everyone away who played it. But I never had a computer back in the day, because they were like $1 million, so I figured I'd never get a chance to play it. But a couple years later, it was ported to a ton of platforms, including the 3DO, Atari 800, Atari Jaguar, etc., etc. So needless to say, I was shocked when I went to the rental store and saw a copy of it sitting on the shelf for the SNES. The original game was developed by a guy named Eric Chahi, and when I say developed by him, I mean it, just him alone. One single man created this masterpiece. No help, nothing. I still can't believe that. He developed the game's art and animations in vector form to reduce the amount of memory used to create the game. Rotoscoping was also used to smooth out character animations. Just watch this intro and tell me this wouldn't have blown your mind in 1991. Just look at that. I know nowadays it looks kind of whack, but in 1991, you wasn't getting cinematics on a video game like that, especially on the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was just released. This game looked like nothing that was out at the time. Most games were cutesy and colorful. This game was dark and gritty looking. Look how awesome that game looked on the hardware. That opening intro was epic. Nothing else like this was ever released for the Super Nintendo. The plot sounds like something that comes out of a science fiction novel. You play as Lester Knight Chaikin, a young genius scientist who goes to your laboratory in his Ferrari during a thunderstorm to work on an experiment. While using a particle accelerator and attempting to reconstruct what happened when the universe was born, immediately before the particles reach their intended destination, a lightning bolt strikes the laboratory and interferes with the accelerator, causing a particle fusion and a huge explosion, opening a hole in time and teleporting you to an overrun alien planet. The game has hardly any dialogue. It tells the story through cutscenes and animations, which was intentional. Eric wanted the game to be driven by story and visual narration only. That's why it's missing a HUD also. The great graphics and gameplay inspired many designers who went on to work on franchises like Metal Gear and the Silent Hill games. When you first take control of Lester, you are sinking underwater in a huge lake. As I watch myself get pulled down over and over, you start to realize that this is the game and not a cinema you are watching. You figure out that you are supposed to swim to the surface to escape the killer seaweed that will pull you down to your first death of many in this game. Like I said before, the game has no HUD whatsoever, so that really adds to the atmosphere and the feeling of really being scared and alone on this alien planet. As I restart the game, I start hitting every button to swim to the top, and I crawl out to see the first glimpses of the alien world I've been transported to. Just then, a tentacle comes out of the water and snatches me back, killing me instantly. Wow, that scared the fuck out of me. That was a unique kill. So in about 5 seconds, I've died multiple times in this game already. This game is tough. It's not easy. If I had to compare it to any modern day games, it would be like a limbo type of game, where trial and error is the name of the game. Half the time, you don't know where to go or what the next screen lies. So, sometimes you just die instantly when you get to the next screen. But to me, that's okay. 80% of this game is puzzle solving and trial and error. And I'm okay with that because the gameplay is actually really fun. Nearly every screen is a puzzle to figure out, or you have to do things in a certain sequence to progress the game. As I mentioned earlier, this game's atmosphere and music are simply amazing. I remember reading online that Eric fought religiously to not change the title music to this game. It wasn't until a court order saying he didn't have to change it that they would eventually drop the issue. I'm glad because this game relies on simple but effective lighting, visuals, and soundtrack to make this world come alive. Sorry if I'm gushing about this game, but it's amazing in my opinion. Nothing like it was out at the time. The cinematics and animations were top notch. The controls aren't the best, and they do take some time getting used to, but worth it to experience this game. You do run into quite a bit of slowdown in certain areas, and that's because the poor Super Nintendo couldn't hardly handle this beast. It's one of the few Super Nintendo games that has loading screens. So I can't say it's a perfect port, but I'm absolutely amazed what they were able to pull off using the Super Nintendo's hardware. When you get over how amazing this game looks, you start your journey trying to figure out a way to get off this alien planet and back to reality. As soon as your feet touch land, you see a big creature stalking you in the background, moving forward without any idea where to go and only a pathetic kick to defend yourself. You run across slugs that will kill you instantly if touched, so do your best to stomp on those bastards. Trust me, you won't want them crawling around later on. Eventually, you will come face to face with the beast from earlier. When I played this as a kid, I died on this part many times before I figured out what to do. Trust me, you will die a ton in this game, from slugs cutting you, drowning, falling on spikes, breaking your neck, getting shot. You definitely have your work cut out for you. See, this game is in all honesty a very short game. If you know how to do everything, you can beat it in about 30 minutes. But if not, and you're a first-time player, it could take you hours or days to figure out all these puzzles to reach the end credits. And in my opinion, that's completely fine if the gameplay is solid and the story is interesting. Now I'm not going to sit here and explain every level and what to do, because that would do this game a huge disservice. It needs to be played blindly to really experience how deep this world is. So after you figure out how to outsmart the big beast, you're captured by a group of aliens and they shoot you in the stomach and throw you in a prison cell. When you awake, the first thing you see is an alien who is in your cell with you. You must figure out a way to get out of the cell and continue your journey exploring this alien-infested world and try to find a way back to reality. When you escape your prison cell, you are befriended by the alien that you freed also. So it's you and him versus the world from then on out. Eventually, you'll find a handgun to protect yourself from enemies. You also learn the ability to make force fields with it and also charge it up to unleash a super shot that you use throughout the game. You also solve multiple puzzles along the way, and the storyline grabs you and won't let go. The music is simple yet very fitting for every situation you find yourself in. This game was before its time. The cutscenes, gameplay, soundtrack are all mixed together perfectly to create an unbelievable experience that I love revisiting over and over. I know this game isn't for everyone, but I can't deny the trailblazing this game did for its time. It definitely paved the way for more games to use cinematics to tell its story rather than focusing on heavy action and gunplay. So if you guys get the chance, pick this one up. It's still pretty cheap online, and you can pick up the cart for under $15 usually. Also, if you don't have a retro console to play it on, you can always pick up the 20-year anniversary edition for PC, Xbox One, and PS4, which has updated crisp graphics, crystal clear sound. But one huge downfall in those versions is it doesn't have the epic Charles Denson Super Nintendo soundtrack in it, which I think is an epic fail.
Well, that's all for this episode. If you have any memories of Out of This World, leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep it retro.